Hey you, welcome to my channel, A Year and a Day. My name is Jenny and in this video I will be going over my favorite things from the months of December 2024 and January 2025. Let's start with some memories and a little life update of these past few months. And to be completely honest with you, I've been kind of struggling with how to put it into words. Because the truth is, I've been dealing with some health issues that are way more persistent than I had expected. If you've watched my 2024 wrap-up video, which I will link down below, you might have heard me mention that the second half of 2024 was not a really fun time for me. I came back from Schwarzwald where I felt energized and inspired and creative. But as soon as I came home in July of 2024, I was not able to really hold on to that energy. And at first I thought that with a bit of rest or a bit of pep talk, I would be able to bounce back. But in September and October, it started to take a more physical toll on me. And again, I thought with some rest and positive thought, I would be able to bounce back from that. But unfortunately, it turned out not to be that simple. Now, I don't mind sharing my struggles here on this channel, especially when it comes to mental health. I think it's very important to be open about that and to share our experiences. But I also always love to include my process or certain ways that I'm coping or dealing with things. And in this specific case, I am kind of still in the middle of it, and I am not really able to do that yet. So in a way, I kind of wondered whether to even mention it at all. But at the same time, this wouldn't be a video about my month of December and January if I didn't include it in this. So here we are. I will try to make a very long story as short as possible. I've had mental and physical issues my entire life, so it wasn't like I didn't notice that. But every time I would seek out help of a doctor or a specialist or a therapist, the conclusion always was that there wasn't really an issue, that everything was fine, that everything that I was feeling or experiencing shouldn't really be there, because I had no reason to feel those things, so I should just basically get over it. I walked around with a lot of stuff for a very long time without getting any treatment or without making very good decisions with respect to those things. I've mentioned many times before here on the channel that I only got my ADHD diagnosis at the age of 39. And to be honest, I think a lot of damage had already been done at that point. And for years now, I've really been trying to keep my head above water. And I feel like mentally I could keep that up, but I didn't really expect that there would be a physical aspect to it, where my body would basically say, okay, I've had enough now. Because when your body kind of shuts down or gives you a lot of issues or pain, that is not something that you can pull tarot cards for or journal for or set intentions for. That is something almost out of your control. Now, the good news is there is stuff that I can do, and I will be focusing on that in the upcoming months. Of course, with the intention of kind of overcoming the worst of it and finding a way to live a somewhat healthy and balanced life where I can go to work and have a social life, because to be honest, in December and January I had to put that all on hold, and it is still all on hold, and I don't know how long that will be for. And having to accept that there is actually a physical limitation there that I have to respect, that was kind of a process that I had to go through these past 2 months. And especially these past few weeks in January. Because even when filming that 2024 wrap-up video and going over my highlights and low points, and especially the lessons from last year, I was still not really aware of the consequences of what chronic stress can do to your brain and to your body, and how that can cause chronic pain or chronic fatigue, and what I will be able to do to get out of it just enough to at least be able to function. So I have no idea if I am making any sense. I don't know if I am able to kind of explain just enough to share what is going on without being too cryptic about it. But I'm sure in future videos I will refer back to this or update you on the progress that I'm hopefully will be making in the upcoming months. Now, with that being said, let's focus on some fun stuff, because that is a lovely way to kind of distract myself, and I am very happy to be back here with another video where I can just share some of the stuff that I loved in the past few months. And let's start with something very exciting, which is a planner and journal update. Now, if you've been following along on my channel, you know that for the past few months I wasn't able to shut up about my planner and journal setup for 2025. I've been journaling for a long time, and I've tried a lot of different systems and notebooks and setups, but I don't think I ever gave it as much thought as I did at the end of 2024. I really felt like I wanted to restructure my whole system and really be very intentional with the products I was using and the things that I wanted to capture and experience with my journals and planners. So let's go over the ones that I have been using. These are all planners and journals I have shared in previous videos, and they're all Hobonichi. This is my first year using Hobonichi products, and I decided to go all out. Now let's start with my practical planner. So for this one I am using a Hobonichi Techo A6 size and a weekly insert. And these two books were supposed to be my practical planner. These were supposed to help me structure my appointments and my tasks and my chores, and really help me be a functional adult human being. And of course, then everything happened that happened these past few months. And it turned out that there wasn't a lot of planning to do actually. So I've definitely been using this planner occasionally. So this is not a daily thing, but there are still some appointments that I need to track, and there are still some to-do lists. Whenever I feel like I need a bit of structure or overview, I will refer back to this booklet. So this is helpful. And it's just not as intensively used as I had planned or hoped I would use it in 2025 so far. But it's definitely nice to just have one place for all my checklists and appointments and stuff like that. And I also realized that I like to have a pen with every journal. And this is a Sailor pen. It's one of those cheaper models they have. And I think this was a limited edition that was released last year. And I really love the color combo of the pen and this journal and the cover. It just fits really well together. So not super exciting, but I am glad to have it. The ones that I have been using most are these two. This is my health tracker and this is my creative journal. So let's start with the health tracker. I started a health tracker in 2024 and it was really helpful with keeping track of stuff that was going on, and I am very happy that I decided to keep doing that, especially in light of everything that's going on. Tracking certain things really makes it easier to have a conversation with a doctor, for example. They have questions, and if I wouldn't have written it down, I would probably forget a lot of what is going on a day-to-day basis, how my pain levels are doing, etc. And as you can see, I have two notebooks here. So this is a Hobonichi Weeks. And I am still very, very happy that I got this beautiful cover. I think the colors are really, really nice. It's a perfect combination with this Sailor Pro Gear Slim. This is one of the Japanese sweets ones. And this is just giving me some real calming vibes, and that's a good thing. So all the tracking stuff I am doing in the Hobonichi Weeks, and the health notes. This is actually a traveler's notebook insert, and I added this one for anything that is not really about tracking my own health and notes on that, but is, for example, more about me reading a book and wanting to take some notes, or having some thoughts and insights on how to deal with certain stuff. I really wanted a place where I had the room to kind of make notes on that. So that's why I added this traveler's notebook insert. Now, I don't think I want to share all the pages in this book, because obviously it's pretty personal and it doesn't really feel right to share that on the internet, but I'll try to see if there is maybe a page that I can share. So basically on the left side of the page I give these little daily updates, and on the right side of the page I am tracking all kinds of stuff, and I've been kind of adding and retracting stuff on the go. So for every week I just see what works and what doesn't, what I need to track and what I don't, my pain levels, my mood, whether I am taking medications or not. Now currently I am completely focusing on kind of building up my reserve energies, and I try to focus less on doing workouts or physical activities, because those really seemed to only escalate things further. And the current tactic is to really first, for a few weeks, focus on kind of building up my energy in a structured manner. And once I kind of feel the effects of that, I can move into building up my activities again. At least that for now is the whole thought. So like I said, I will just keep filling this out by week and adjusting it wherever I need to. But it is a very good thing to kind of keep track of everything and to have a designated place to keep those notes. So I am very happy with this one so far. And that's my health tracker. And then we have my creative journal. And this one actually was the biggest gamble, I guess. I have tried daily journaling in the past, and even though those are the journals that I love the most to look back on, they are also the ones that were hardest to keep up. I think the longest period of time that I ever journaled on a daily basis was 1 year. But then it started to feel like a chore and I stopped it altogether. And for a long time, I had just decided for myself that daily journaling wasn't my thing. But for 2025, I decided to give it another go. And I put a lot of thought into it beforehand to kind of make up my mind how I would like to use it. And it remains an experiment. I kind of am still figuring things out. So I decided to get a traveler's insert for my creative daily journal as well. And I kind of called it a daily log / commonplace. And this one I can just use for small notes on the go that I want to remember for later. And then we have my Hobonichi cousin Avec, and this is the one in the A5 size. And the Hobonichi cousin has monthly overviews, weekly overviews, and then daily pages. And again, I'm not sure how much I want to share about the actual stuff I wrote in my journals. I am currently using the weekly spreads to kind of write down whatever happened during the day. And this is actually the only thing that I am doing on an actual daily basis within this book. And that really takes 5 minutes or something to just write down every single evening or the morning after just what happened during the day. And then of course we have the daily pages. And this is actually something I'm still trying to figure out and trying to experiment with. I am using the daily pages to kind of keep memories, and it depends on the day which topic I choose. Sometimes it's a beautiful walk in the woods, but also on this Sunday, for example, I just wrote with all my currently inked fountain pens. And basically for the daily pages, I do not actually force myself to write them every single day. But I do try to put a sticky note on every day with the topic that I want to write about on that certain page. So I have my weekly overviews with kind of a day-to-day log. And then I have a topic assigned to the certain day. And whenever I feel like I want to journal a bit or print some photos, then I just do a day or a few days. And if I'm behind, it's no big deal because I already know what I will be writing about. And this has actually been working very well for me in January. And for this journal, I am mainly writing with my Platinum Century 3776 with an extra fine nib. And this one has platinum carbon black ink. So I'm not doing a lot with different colors ink or something in this journal up until now. I'm just keeping it very simple. I'm also not sure how I want to keep going with it, and if I want to maybe move the daily log stuff that I'm using the weekly pages for at this moment, maybe moving that to the daily pages. I don't know. It's a work in progress, and I will just see whatever feels right during the upcoming months. And that's my creative journal. So after all the planning and thinking about my setup for 2025, I am very happy to be in the books that I chose and to be actually using them and experimenting with them. And up until now, it's been a very lovely experience. And I'm very curious to find out where it will take me this year. Now let's move on to a little show and tell of some of my favorite and new stuff of December and January. And let's start with new fountain pens. Now you might have seen my video about updating my fountain pen collection last year. I kept my fountain pen collection very small, very consciously for a long time. But last year I allowed myself to splurge a little and I actually kind of upgraded my collection. And I added a lot of really beautiful fountain pens. And I also mentioned, I think it was in my 2024 wrap-up video, that I wasn't planning on adding a lot of new pens. And that is still my intention. There will probably be a lot of beautiful pens in 2025, and I will probably pick up the most special ones here and there. But other than that, I do not plan to really splurge a lot in 2025. But I did get a few new pens in December and January. Because I treated myself to a little Stilo and Stile order. Stilo e Stile is a lovely Italian web shop that has a lot of pens and stationery. And it was kind of a spontaneous decision to throw in a couple of pens as well. Now previously I had been making those daily notes in the traveler's inserts with my beloved Kaweco Brass Sport. This is such a lovely pen. It has a real weight to it, and I recently replaced the nib unit with an extra fine nib. And it writes very lovely. I'm very happy with it. But because I was physically not well, the weight of this pen really started to bother me. And it started to hurt my hands, and I decided very spontaneously to get myself another Kaweco. And I decided to go for the Kaweco collection in Apricot Pearl. And this is a very lightweight pen, and it's absolutely perfect for those small notes. Also, I am not too worried about, taking it with me or anything. I put a bronze colored clip from Kaweco on it. And this is just a lovely, fun addition to my collection. And it's perfect for those daily notes. And at the same time, the new Pilot Kakunos were available. This is one of their new colors. And this is the pink one. And I got it in a fine nib. And I just really loved the blush pink color and the white grip section. And I never wrote with a Kakuno before, so that was also a fun one to throw in. And the third pen that I wanted to show is not a fountain pen. Actually keeping it in my pen case over here. But it's a Tom's Studio Lumos Duo. This one I saw around on YouTube quite a bit, and I was always curious about it because this is basically a refillable fine liner / brush pen. It comes with a whole bunch of tips or nibs, So you can actually kind of customize what you want to do with it. And you can also fill up the cartridges with fountain pen ink. I put the small fine liner on this one with a black ink. And like I said, you can kind of mix and match and choose what you would like. And I included the brush pen for this one and also filled it up with fountain pen ink. So this was kind of a more fancy Christmas gift to myself, and I am happy to have it. I hope I will be able to enjoy it for lots of years to come. So that was kind of the stationery and pen update from the last few months. Let's move on to books. I am actually trying to use my e-reader as much as possible at the moment. It's very convenient because you don't have to lift heavy books or anything. And also because of the lighting, it's also very convenient to be able to just read wherever. And I've been really enjoying reading books that way. It also really helps that I don't have to buy physical books and having to store them somewhere. But I did buy 2 books that really added to my collection. The first one is House Sketching by Albert Kiefer. And I'm not really active on social media, so I didn't really know about him. But he has an Instagram account, I believe, and a YouTube channel where he shares his sketches. I just randomly came across this book and decided to pick it up because I really love this kind of sketching style and combining fine liners with ink, and I just really enjoy this kind of loose style of sketching. So this really spoke to me and I decided to pick it up. And it turned out that the book was very recently released, and also Albert Kiefer is a Dutch guy. Yeah, I'm also Dutch, so that was kind of funny to me. But the book itself is in English and I am really enjoying it. His writing style is very to the point and clear. It's really easy to read and to follow along. He gives great tips and advice, and he really takes you through his whole process. So I'm still reading in this one, and then when I feel like I've read enough to start sketching along, I will. I already started a new sketchbook because my last sketchbook was completed. So I will be using this one for now. This is a art creation sketchbook by Royal Talent. And I haven't done a lot yet, but just some warm-up sketches of one of my favorite subjects, which are mushrooms. They are so fun to sketch, and I can't wait to start experimenting with this kind of style and implement the advice that I will be getting from this book. And that is House Sketching by Albert Kiefer. The second book I got is the latest book by Frances Hardinge. Now, there aren't a lot of authors that I really collect all the books from, but Frances Hardinge is one that I just decided that I love her writing style, I love her stories, so I just decided that I wanted to get all of her books as physical copies. I'm also reading through all of her books in kind of chronological order, so it will take me a while before I will get to this one, but when I saw it on Amazon I decided to just pick it up, so I will at least be sure to have a physical copy. And this one is illustrated by Emily Gravett. I really love the limited color scheme, but to be completely honest, I haven't even checked out what the book is really about. I just knew I would be reading it and I wanted to have it. So I haven't even flipped through a lot of the books because I don't want any spoilers. So I will just keep this one in my bookcase until I am ready to give it a go. And that's The Forest of 1,000 Eyes. Now, last but not least, let's take a look at some tarot and oracle decks. I actually have 2 mass market decks to show you and 2 Kickstarters that came in these past few weeks. Let's start with the mass market decks. This is the Lost Oracle by Fiona Horn, and it was kind of a spontaneous purchase. I'm not buying a lot of new decks these days. I think I have a lovely collection to choose from already. So when I'm buying something new, I really wanted to bring something new to my collection. And I actually was looking at another deck that was way more expensive, and I think it was an indie deck, but it had roughly the same art style. And somehow it really spoke to me. It was kind of the midst of winter, and I don't know, I just felt pulled to an art style like this. And then I saw the Lost Oracle around and I was like, you know what, that's a great alternative. It's mass market, it's easily obtainable, and I really love the art style. I also love that the cards come kind of with a title and then a little phrase on the cards. So the deck has this really witchy, old school vibe to it that really appealed to me. And also I have to admit that there were moments these past few months where I felt a little lost, so I also really loved the theme. I appreciate the guidebook because it gives a little bit of that story element, describing what you see on the card, and also a bit more meaning and message. At the same time, because it has both a keyword and a little phrase, the message you get from the card itself is already very clear. So I love using oracles like these in the mornings, for example, for a quick card pull to kind of set my intention for the day. So this was a lovely and affordable oracle deck to add to my collection. And that's the Lost Oracle. Next up is a pre-order I kind of forgot about, and suddenly it was delivered to my doorstep. And that is the Tarot of Mystical Moments Borderless Miniature Edition. Some of you might know the Tarot of Mystical Moments. This is a mass market deck that was released a few years ago, and I already owned this one. And when I saw that there would be a smaller version available, I decided to pre-order it. Now let's first take a quick look at the bigger edition. I'm usually not really a fan of collage decks, that's just not really my thing, but somehow this one really works for me. I love all the interpretations and the colors, and it's just a really lovely vibe. So I've always been very, very fond of this deck, but the cardstock and the size has really prevented me from using it a lot. And that's because these cards are not only pretty large, larger than standard tarot size, but the cardstock is also very shiny and slippery. So actually trying to shuffle this one is not really a pleasant experience for me. When I saw that there would be a miniature version of the Tarot of Mystical Moments, I placed that pre-order and I kind of forgot about it, and then it showed up. Now, to be completely honest, as soon as I got this one out of the package, I probably should have just left it sealed in plastic and returned it, because I hadn't realized that miniature would actually mean miniature. I thought I would be getting a kind of mini-sized deck that would still be quite a larger and usable deck, but just a bit smaller than standard tarot size. But instead, as you can see, this deck is just incredibly small. But I was so curious to just see if the art was visible and what was the cardstock like, that I ended up opening this one up. It comes in this just really standard tuck box. It also comes with a little white booklet. And these write-ups seem to be a little more condensed than the regular size. And other than that, I think it's pretty much the same deck. I haven't done a complete comparison or anything. Personally, I think this is way too small to be usable. I also think with this beautiful art style, with all the details, I wouldn't have minded a mini version, especially because I already know the deck. But to have a miniature version is just a bit ridiculous in my opinion. Now, maybe I will completely come back to that and I will end up actually using this deck a lot. But my first impression was just that it was a little bit ridiculous and unusable, really. And also, I just felt disappointed that this beautiful deck with this beautiful artwork and the very cool interpretations of the tarot kind of still doesn't have a version that really makes it the awesome deck that I want to use a lot. This one is still too big and too slippery and too shiny, and then we have this miniature one that's just way too small. So I don't know why there just isn't a version right in the middle of these that you can actually really use. And it really shows me that I should just wait to see some walkthroughs and just give more thought into stuff that I order or pre-order. Sometimes it's better to just wait and see. But that's the Tarot of Mystical Moments, the borderless miniature edition. So let's continue with Kickstarter decks. And I am actually filming this whole video in very small sections. And it's actually the next day when I'm filming this part. In January, I received 2 Kickstarter decks. And let's start with the Children of Ostara. This was actually my most anticipated deck of 2024. From the moment I realized that the creator would be launching her Kickstarter, I was hyped and couldn't wait to back this one. The Children of Ostara Tarot is created by the same creator as the Children of Litha Tarot. I've showed this quite a few times here on my channel because I think the artwork is just so absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love the colors and the illustration style of this deck, and every single card is just such a piece of art. Now, as you can see, I have the kind of standard black edition of the Children of Litha, and this one had a lot of animals. And the Children of Ostara is much more plant and I guess fae based from what I've seen so far. And for this one I actually got the limited gold edition. So let's take a look. Now, as you can see, the deck came with some extras. This velvet bag and a coin. And before the launch of the Kickstarter, I was like, okay, I'm going to back all the things. I'm going to get all the coins and I'm just going to go all in. And then the Kickstarter launched and I saw the prices and I was like, I'm going to get one coin and the deck, and that was it. Because of course, on top of the actual products, you also have to pay for shipping, and because I'm in the EU, I also have to pay import taxes and stuff like that. So it's always just an expensive thing to back a Kickstarter or to import products from outside of Europe. But I'm very, very happy that I at least got one coin and very happy with my choice of the sun and the moon. This is not really something that I use for divination or something. It's just a pretty thing to have. And then, of course, the deck itself. As you can see, the deck came with a certificate of authenticity, a guidebook, and then the deck. So the thought behind these decks is that eventually, when more decks will be released, you can mix and match. So all the decks will have the same backs and you can kind of create your own tarot deck, which is of course a very cool concept, something that I really appreciate. One of the things that kind of bugged me a little bit is that, like I said, for the Children of Litha Tarot, so the first published deck, I missed the Kickstarter, so I missed that limited gold edition. And even though I really absolutely adore the art style of this deck, the cardstock is always a bit difficult for me to shuffle. So this is kind of a matte rose petal finish and it clumps together a bit and stuff like that. So it makes the cards really nice and sturdy, but it also makes it kind of a hassle to shuffle. So I would have absolutely loved to get the gold edition of the Children of Litha Tarot, because the gold editions actually have a matte cardstock, so no rose petal finish, and they are much more manageable. But unfortunately, the creator chose to not have that as an option within the Kickstarter. And I think it's such a shame, because in the end, that will only fuel the resellers, for the Children of Litha Tarot, but also all the other decks and the gold limited editions just will be resold on eBay and stuff for insane prices. And I much rather pay an amount of money to the actual creator and get the deck and the cardstock that I would prefer instead of going to a reseller. So I will just have to accept the fact that I will not get the gold edition of the Children of Litha Tarot. So that was a little bit of a bummer because I just had really high expectations of the Kickstarter, and I've been wanting that gold edition of the Children of Litha Tarot for years and years now. So I was really hoping to kind of add that to my collection, and it was a bit disappointing that I wouldn't be able to do that, but of course complete first world problems, and not a big deal, and the creator of course has all the right to make that decision themselves. I did end up getting the gold edition of the Children of Ostara Tarot, thinking that if I really want to mix and match in the future, I can always get the regular black edition somewhere in the future, but this one will only be available through the Kickstarter in a limited amount, so I'm just gonna grab this one. And I really love the cardstock a lot better than the rose petal finish already, so that's very nice. And I just got this in, so it's still in order. I haven't worked with it yet. I haven't really done a complete walkthrough even for myself. I flipped through a couple of the cards, and the artwork is again very lovely and the colors are beautiful. And there are 2 extra cards, the above and the below. And as you can see, they kind of create one illustration, which is a lovely detail. And then the minors are quite pippish. But what I've seen from the creator and her explanations about the plants that are shown and the animals, there has really been a lot of thought put into these and connecting certain plants to the tarot card meanings and stuff. So that will be fun, exploring that and checking out the guidebook and looking at the interpretations. I think there's a lot to learn here for me. And that's the Children of Ostara Tarot. And the last deck and another Kickstarter I received in January is the Felis Oracle. There aren't a lot of Kickstarters that grab my attention nowadays, but this one really stood out for me. I really appreciated the fact that no AI is used, so it's just really a creator, an illustrator who creates these wonderful pictures of cats. And no diss to AI, it's a wonderful and fun tool to play around with. I've played around with it myself, but I just prefer to put my money towards creators who, create the illustrations themselves. And this is something that everyone should decide for themselves. So as soon as I saw this one, I knew I would actually love to back it, because the art style is adorable and of course it features cats, and I love cats. And this Kickstarter campaign was a really positive experience for me. It all went very smoothly and relatively quickly, and the end product is an absolute joy and very lovely quality. As you can see, the cards have beautiful etching and also these foiled details on the backs. And the keywords are just very straightforward and clear. And I really love the cardstock. I love the size. I love the colors. You know, this one is just really well put together. It comes with a little guidebook. And there also was an extra that the creator offered during the campaign that I also backed because I absolutely loved that idea. And basically she offered to create a sticker of your cat. So you could actually send her pictures of your cat and she would create a little illustration and then you would get a sticker with the deck. And this is of course representing my beloved cat Boots, who is turning 18 years old next week actually. And she's been with me for 12 years and I absolutely adore her. So having this sticker created was an absolute joy, and the contact with the creator was also very lovely. She sent me a first draft and then I could basically tell her if I wanted to have anything different. So that was also a lovely experience. So this is for me really an example of a lovely Kickstarter campaign with a lovely extra and a lovely deck that I am so happy to have added to my collection. And that's the Felis Oracle. And that's it. Those were some of my favorite things from the months of December 2024 and January 2025. I hope you didn't mind me sharing about my health stuff and the fact that my year had a bit of a rocky start. The last thing I want to do here on this channel is burden anybody with my problems. But at the same time, I also think it can be important to be open and honest about these things. Of course, I do hope to make some good progress in the upcoming months, and I'm sure that I will be learning a lot along the way. And I will try to share those lessons as well here on the channel. For now, I hope you enjoyed going through some of my favorite things from these last few months. And with all of that being said, I wish you all a lovely rest of your day or night, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!